This was last Saturday. It's poorly written and I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I hope you will read it. I am still distraught. Me, my boyfriend, my boyfriend's coworker, and her girlfriend, Ms. B, decided to play. When we talked about what we were going to do, we decided to go on a tour of abandoned buildings, which is a hobby of my boyfriend and A. We decided to go on a tour of abandoned buildings, which is a hobby of my boyfriend and his girlfriend. But I don't want to see ghosts, even though I like to hear about them, and I don't want to see them. Since it was the first time for me and B to visit an abandoned building, we were looking for a place with no history, no Yankees, and a clear history. We decided to go to an abandoned house with a clear history and no Yankees. A's relative used to work there, and it was built by a large glass company before the bubble economy. There were welfare facilities and dormitories for employees, and a glasscraft experience area for tourists. It seems to be a rather large building, but the company went bankrupt due to the recession. The company went bankrupt due to the recession, and the building was no longer in use within 6 months of its opening. The owner of the building is still alive and well, and there have been no major accidents. It is connected to the national highway, but it is located deep in the mountains, so it is not likely to be a hangout for motorcycle gangs. It was cloudy at that time, but it cleared up as we approached the mountain. The four of us were very excited and set off in my boyfriend's car. The road to the ruins was a nice asphalt road, but it had been broken by bamboo shoots, and grass and ivy had overgrown it, making it rough enough for one car to barely pass. He showed me the mower he had brought with him, saying, "I was wondering if something like this would ever happen." The ruins were further into the mountains than I had expected. There was a temple in a field a short distance ahead. After 10 minutes of driving, there was nothing else but an old vending machine. It was surrounded by walls and a large gate blocked by wooden pallets. There were no houses around, and it was clearly not an atmosphere in which someone would casually enter. When we managed to climb over the gate and enter the building, we found that the central part of the building, aside from the edges, had been eroded by plants and trees. It looked like a school building on a day off. When I got closer, I found that the building was much higher than the ground, so I could not see the inside well. But all the glass was still there. We decided to walk around in a circle to find a place where we could enter. However, as we were walking around the former factory, we saw a shadow up ahead. I was quite nervous at first, but when I got closer, I found that it was just a lady dressed normally, like she was out shopping for a while, and she looked at me and reacted in some way. She looked at me and didn't react in any way. After that, I saw an old man in half pants, a middle-aged couple, a mother with a child, and a young woman in a sweatshirt and character. They were all so normal that I felt out of place in my long-sleeved military uniform. I asked A, "Isn't this place abandoned?" He replied, "It's my relative's story that it hasn't been used for a long time. So maybe there are some buildings that are still alive. Let's just see where these people are coming from." After that, we passed many people and arrived at the door from which these people were coming out. Unlike the other factory-like doors, it looked like an office. I opened the door and looked inside. There was nothing inside. It was dusty, and there were only some cables and an office desk. There was a window, but no doorway leading anywhere, just a single room. We were all, but sure enough, people were coming out. I went inside and wandered around looking for something. Then Ms. B said, "Hey, let's go home." She looked really scared, so I asked her what was going on. I asked her what was wrong and she replied, "Well, there are no footprints in this room. What happened to them?" When we looked closely, we found that the floor of the room was covered with dust and there were only bees' footprints. We noticed this and became somewhat silent, then quickly went outside and closed the door. As we were going back the way we came, the door behind us slammed open and a person came out from inside. The room was not connected to anywhere, and no one was supposed to be in there. My boyfriend said, "Normally, I'd see a tear somewhere and go in through that, but with it being this clean, I don't feel comfortable. So let's just look around." Ms. B screamed and started to run, and we ran back to the car, too, frantically. Strangely, more and more people passed us. We bump shoulders and get stares of annoyance. There were no people at all earlier, but there were dozens of people inside the factory. I thought I was safe once I crossed the gate, but when I got in my car and started off, the streets were also overflowing with people. They were all strolling around in normal clothes, as if they were out for a walk. Dozens of people in a place like this down the mountain, and the car was only going slowly. We were screaming and honking and just panicking and going crazy. My boyfriend yelled at A, "What kind of a place did you bring us to?" And A yelled back. A yelled back and a fight broke out, and finally Ms. B said, "Let's go there and get help." A and Ms. B both ran to the temple. After that I cried so hard I started hyperventilating, and I was lying down in the back seat, so I didn't look outside. After the car went slowly for a while, it seemed to come to a national highway, and I found myself on a familiar road. Those people were gone, it was raining, and it was like that thing earlier was a lie. My boyfriend and I parked the car in the parking lot of a family restaurant, and after waiting for me to calm down, I went into the family restaurant and tried calling Ms. B and C on their cell phones, but there was no answer. Anyway, I texted them, "I'm coming to pick you up, call me," and then we stayed at the family restaurant for a while. It was late at night, so I stayed over at my boyfriend's house, and the next day I went to A and Ms. B's house. I went to A and B's house the next day, but they hadn't come back yet. Maybe they are playing a joke on us, maybe it's a big surprise. I waited until today, but A is absent from work. Ms. B has not come home yet either. Does anyone on this board know anything about the factory in Mount Mnen City, a prefecture? What happened to A and Ms. B? Will they come back? Will anything happen to me and my boyfriend? I am very anxious and scared now.